Hey friends, this one's going to be controversial. I'm Gen X. If you're a Gen X born between 1965 and 1980, you're probably going to agree with a lot of what I'm saying. I say bring back shaming. Do you remember back in the day, Gen X, you're growing up in the 70s and 80s, we had a very different way of keeping each other in check as kids, as teenagers, just in society in general. It wasn't therapy, okay? We weren't in therapy. We were the generation where parents got divorced left and right, but we never went into therapy. It wasn't safe spaces. We didn't have any coddling whatsoever. We had to suck it up, okay? We had to cope. And the thing that made us cope was being shamed for being a baby and a wuss and being too all up in our whiny, and our parents weren't having it. And so we were the same towards our peer group. So the same way that we were parented, we ended up giving that to the other kids in the neighborhood. Okay, it was brutal. Okay, maybe. But you know what? It was effective. Because back in the day when we were little kids, and comment in the comments if you did this too, we actually had to go outside, walk down the street, or ride our bike to our friend's house, knock on the door at 8, 9, 10 years old, engage with whatever adult is going to answer the door. Hi, Mrs. Marley. It's Lisa. We're playing up the street. Wanted to let Billy know so that when he's done with his chores, he can meet us up the street. We're playing tag. We're playing in the street. Okay, Lisa, we'll tell Billy that as soon as he's done mowing the lawn, he'll go up there and meet you guys to play. 10 years old. Okay, we were like South Park. Like, that's how we actually treated each other, right? And we engaged and interacted with adults. We weren't afraid to do things by ourselves. And if you were in junior high school and you acted out or dressed provocatively or perhaps hooked up with a bunch of people, or you were flaky and you said that you would be somewhere for your friends but you didn't show up, you were called out on it right then and there. Your friends didn't let you get away with anything, right? You would be labeled and your reputation mattered. You actually cared about what other people thought of you. Today, this is all called shaming. If you can't call anyone out on their bad behavior, right? If a woman is dressed in a certain way and you're a man and you're like, hey, listen, we're going to my cousin's wedding. I'm trying to introduce you to my family. I don't really need you to be wearing a low plunging, tits out for my whole family. I don't need Uncle Benny salivating over his salad looking at my girlfriend's tits. But if you say that because people today have no shame, it is gaslit into you being the one with the problem. Oh, you're insecure. No, I'm not insecure. I'm respectful, and I just want the woman that I'm with to show up in front of my family in a way that is appropriate, right? But you can't talk like that now, right? So I'm Gen X, and us Gen Xers, we are sitting on the sidelines watching millennials and Gen Z fighting with boomers. And the millennials, and mainly the Gen Zs, they lump everybody older than them in the category of boomer. So let's break it down. Boomer is my parents. They're in their 70s, right? They're in their 70s. Gen X is 1965 to 1980. It's a 15-year gap. We're pretty much the last great generation of people who weren't all up in their feelings, who didn't have this narcissistic attitude that everybody's got to cater to them. If we sucked in sports, you didn't get a trophy. You were told you suck. And if you don't want to suck anymore, you hit the batting cages until your hands had blisters to get your shoulder up and your swing right. This is what you did. Generation X is about accountability. It's about a generation about, you don't do something right, you show up in a way that isn't appropriate, you're going to get it called out. So society is collapsing today, right? This is not news. It's a spiritual war. Nobody has morals anymore. You got women with the, this thing in their nose, the septum ring. What even is that? Why do you do it? Tattoos, little tattoos here that connect here and then go to the titty too and then down into thigh tattoo. Like, what are you doing? I'm just expressing myself. I do it for me. You're doing it because you have daddy issues, right? This is what it is. There was obviously no male leadership in your house that said, you come home with like that, don't come home. I meant it. There's no consequences, right? And this is what's interesting, and we can get into this later, is the parents of the people of Gen Z, they are Gen X and late boomers. So this is what the fuckery is of it. You were parented in such a way that you brought your resentment or your woundedness into how you parent. So you became friends. You want to be your kid's friend instead of a parent. And that's a problem. That's why you're 56 years old and your 30-year-old kid is still living with you. And yes, about economy and all this. Yes, that's part of it. Yes, right? But there are plenty of other Gen Zs who are crushing it. So let's look at how Gen X used shame and still use shame. Because us Gen Xers, we are the fuck around, find out generation. We don't take shit. I love seeing Gen X people slam verbally online these ridiculous Gen Zs whining constantly and these millennials. Like, I love it. Because these people will send us a paragraph. Do you notice this? Like, if you're getting into it online with a Gen Z or millennial, they'll write a paragraph trying to lecture you, thinking so narcissistically and arrogant that what they're going to put in that paragraph is somehow going to change you. And then we write back like a bunch of laughy faces and a thumbs up. It sends them into a tizzy. They hate the thumbs up. Have you seen this? They don't like the emoji. It triggers them. That's the other thing. Everything triggers them. They don't know how to cope with shit. So shame wasn't always kind. That's not the point. It was clear. It was crisp. We'd hear things like, she's easy. She's a slut, right? And she's trying too hard. And he's got no game. That guy's a loser. These are words that we're throwing around, plus the R word. The R, now you can't even say it. I can't even say it. I'll get kicked off, right? But it was the point was that it woke you up. It was like very in your face. It wasn't about cruelty. It was about creating standards, social norms, guardrails. You knew what was respected, you knew what was expected, and what wasn't. And even if you rebelled, you still had rules. You still knew that there would be clear consequence for any fuckery. And we roasted each other. We gave each other nicknames. Everybody Gen X had a nickname, right? We called out all the fakeness, all the phoniness. And if we got in it with a kid and it got heated and any adults came, we would stop immediately. It's between us. We didn't want any of the grown-ups coming on in, butting their faces in. We settled it on the playground, right? We didn't want to know anything about teachers coming in, breaking stuff up. No, we met off school grounds to sort our shit out. Gangster. And it was a culture of accountability. I said this before. When you did something wrong, you got punished, right? Your parents punished you. There were consequences for your actions. No bicycle for a week. You know what that is? If you're Gen X and you're like a 10-year-old Gen Xer, your entire world from like 8 until 16 when you can drive is bike. We biked everywhere. So if you get punished and your parents are like, no bike, you basically have no life for a week. It was horrible. So reputation meant something. This is the next point. You didn't want to be known as the girl who hooks up with every guy. Now, the inversion of that is what we're going through now. That's why women are such trash. They're complete trash. And they're depressed and they have like mental issues because they think that it's empowering to spread their legs to anyone who looks their direction. And they're being taught that it's their body and their choice, and therefore they should let guys run through them and call that empowerment. It's not empowering. You're a slut. Point out. Full stop. I'll say it. Gen X. You're going to hear the truth from me. True empowerment is I'm going to get to know a boy or a guy, and I'm going to see if he meets the standards. And if he does, I'm going to introduce them to my family, my brothers, my this, my whatever. And then we're going to date. We're going to see each other and this and that. And then we're going to fall in love. And then we're going to have sex. This is the pacing of things. This is powerful. This is feminine power. But apparently the feminists took a hot shit all over that. And now we have women who are just on OnlyFans, showing themselves to random strangers, making money on it and calling that powerful. So, reputation wasn't image management. It was your social credit score. Your reputation was your social credit score, and it influenced who dated you, what friends you had, who trusted you. And today, people are encouraged to just do whatever the hell they want. And if anyone says anything, stop being judgmental. You're being judgmental. Really? So now you see things like body positivity, where you have videos on social media of obese people and other people encouraging that. That's evil. That's evil. Right? And if you say something, which the comments are hilarious to me in some of these videos, it's hilarious because I'm just rolling for the comments. And speaking of, I'm hopeful that you're commenting when all these things are ringing true to you because you're remembering your childhood. You're remembering a time where things were pure and just. And we sorted it out ourselves. We didn't run to our government to babysit us and monitor every single move we made in life. And institutions to be our nannies. We sorted it out. Everything is all over the place. No one's kept in line. Everything is chaotic now. And it's deliberate. So what changed? Right? What changed? What do you think changed? Comment in the comments. I read through all of them. I want to hear what you think, especially if you're a Gen Xer. Right? If you're Gen Z and you want to throw shade, have at it. Have at it. Right? Like when you're a Gen Z, there are a lot of Gen Zs out there asking their parents, like, what was Gen X like? Like, what was it like growing up in the 70s and 80s? Like, did your parents truly give you $10, drop you off at the roller rink at 12 years old and say, see you later, or at the mall or whatever, right? You were dropped off and left there. No cell phone. You had like 3 quarters. Or $1, and then you had to go and ask an adult at a store, can you break this $1 for me? I have to call my mom, and you have 4 quarters. You see, like you had to interact with adults. You had to handle yourself. Kids today, you talk to an average like 25-year-old today, it's as if you're talking to someone who's 12. Back in the 80s, it's not even. People who were Gen X, they couldn't wait to grow up. They loved their childhood. They had a great time. But there was always this air of maturity, of self-reliance, self-sufficiency. We were handed a key. We were latchkey kids. That was that expression that happened in the 80s, where both parents had to work. It was the first generation where both parents had to work because they fucked with the economy in the 70s. And by the time we hit 10 years old, it was already, you got to stay home alone. So you got a key, you're 9 years old, you have a key to your house, you get home, you make yourself something to eat, peanut butter jelly, you watch some Scooby-Doo, you get some homework done, and then you go out and play. Or you play first and you do the rest after. However way, you were in charge of your calendar and your things to do because your mommy wasn't there organizing and helicoptering every single move you made. So what does that mean? Actions, consequences. You're weighing stuff out in your mind at 9 years old. You're like, okay, just got home from school. Everybody's at the field playing soccer. I'm going to just play, ride my bike to the field, and then I could always do my math homework tonight. And you're making these choices for yourself at 9 years old. You don't have your mother hovering over you, doing the thinking for you, and giving you brain rot. So what else changed? Fast forward to now, we replaced shame with, you do you, boo-boo, none of my business, right? This is the culture. It's none of my business. You want to take, a septum ring and jam it in your nose and then show up to work? fantastic. Who am I to judge? Right? And if you say to them, yeah, I'm sorry, this is my business and I don't hire people with tattoos, visible tattoos or piercings, so handle it. Oh, no, you'll be on the news. You'll have rioters throwing bricks through your windows. I say we need to start shaming. We need to start standing our ground because society is falling apart, collapsing. Nobody has a sense of decorum and decency anymore. It's a problem. Hookup culture, as I mentioned earlier, is not empowering, yet it's sold as empowerment. It's the biggest bullshit. It's destroying your daughters. It's destroying women, and they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. I mean, really, OnlyFans as a career move? Come on, ladies, do better. Seriously. You're supposed to be the ones that have all this education, right? You're the ones that's supposed to be kicking guys' asses since you're the ones at universities and making more money than men. Doing what? OnlyFans? Really? Like, what are you actually doing? And then boundaries, okay? So if a guy has a boundary or a standard that says, you know, I want a woman who dresses modestly, who, you know, doesn't go out drinking with her friends every weekend, isn't all up in the party scene, that gets confused with being oppressive. Just because a dude has standards doesn't mean he's oppressing you. He's simply sharing what his standards are. And if you meet them, great, you'll have a great guy. And a guy who can be a provider and a protector. Because typically the men with standards, they're the ones who are the guys that you truly want. But you're behaving like a 12-year-old. Right? And why? Because you weren't shamed. If you were shamed back when you were 12, then at 24, you wouldn't be in the situation you're in. At 34, you wouldn't be in the situation that you're in. Right? So, like, look, a lot of people are feeling lost. And the reason is there are no guardrails, there are no boundaries, there are no standards. It's a free-for-all. Do whatever makes you feel happy. And now we have a nation full of narcissists. And what we call empowerment today lacks direction, discipline, and values. And Gen X had flaws, don't get me wrong, right? We were children of divorce. We, you know, would go smoke weed in the woods, drink at like 14. Like, we did our thing. But we knew where the lines were, right? Today, there are no lines. And when somebody crossed the lines, we didn't applaud, right? If you, think of it as a sports team too, right? Sports teams. Watch the movie Bad News Bears. If you really want to see what Gen X childhood was like, the movie Bad News Bears, the original, will show you exactly how kids talked to each other back then, exactly on a sports team, how the dynamics were, how we mouthed off to each other. It was exactly how it was. So watch that movie. So slut shaming versus standards. Let's get into that. So I'm going to be super clear about this. I'm not saying like slut shaming is a good thing, right? I'm saying that the pendulum has swung so far the other way that now we celebrate things that actually are harmful and hurtful in the long run. So women are told to sleep around like men and to disconnect sex from love, stop being clingy if they want commitment. But you know what? These women are miserable. I'm a life coach. I coach women who are in this all the time. They're reaching their 30s. They're in their 30s, and they're in this type of age range where they are looking at their lives and they have so much regret. They have so much regret. They poured everything into their careers and partying on weekends and hooking up guy to guy to guy. And now they're like, dude, I'm like 32 and I don't know where I'm going in life. And I feel like I picked the wrong career. I don't even know what I'm doing. I can't meet anybody good. I don't know if I'm ever going to be married. And what sucks is they get the wake up call too late, right? So this is why I say to girls, like, I'm 54. So if I'm talking to 20-year-old girls as if I'm talking to my daughter, I would say to them, hey, good for you that you got your education. That's awesome. Focus on dating men who are older and ready to be in a mature relationship. But you have to be the type of woman, the kind of woman through your behavior that can attract that type of man. Because the problem is you get women out here running their mouths off that they want a certain type of man, right? But you have to become a certain type of woman to attract that type of man. That's what I help people to do. So if you're interested in that, we can totally hang out. Information is in the description below. And then men, right? So I'm not going to be unfair here and only, shit talk the women. The men. The men are told to accept this version of dating or be labeled insecure, misogynistic, or toxic. And it's just not healthy for anyone. But then you have the men who are underperforming also. And again, I remind you, it isn't about men and women at each other's throats. It's about uniting and really going after the true enemy, what created this mess in the first place. And that is who? Our leaders. The mafia of oppressors who are destroying the family, making it impossible for people to leave their parents' houses, making it impossible for people to launch. It's a problem. It's a problem for everyone, but it's deliberate. And we need to start seeing that it's deliberate so that we can get together and actually do something about it. So what's the upside of shame, right? If I'm a Gen Xer and I'm all about shame, what are the upsides? Well, this is what Gen X got right, and maybe other people, if they stop fighting with the boomers and they listen to the wisdom of Gen X, you'll understand that shaming is not about destroying people. It isn't rooted in cruelty. It's about correction. It's about correcting behavior. And the problem now is that we don't distinguish this shame from accountability. Right? Everything is, you're shaming me. No, I'm holding you accountable. There's a difference. Need to learn the difference. Shame says you're bad. Accountability says the behavior was bad and you're better than that. And we as a culture are better than that. So shape up because you're making us all look bad. That's the difference. Right? Shame is you are bad. Accountability is understand what you're doing, the behavior, right? But it's all under the umbrella of shaming, right? So we need to just bring back standards. This is what it's all about. Standards, not through cruelty, but through really super clear expectations, through pride and how we show up in the world and how we care for each other when we say, I want better for you, right? I look at these girls and these guys and I'm just like, you guys are lost. You guys are lost. And the level of nihilism, like you guys have the internet. You can start businesses from the palm of your hand. But you're so like polluted in your mind about systems that no longer apply. So you're sitting here like they don't pay enough at businesses. There aren't any jobs. Okay, but you have the internet and you can like pretty much use AI and create your own little business and do your life. Oh, but it's not that easy. But it is. It is. So what do you think? Are we better off today where there's no accountability? Everybody's just doing whatever they want, saying whatever they want, and like just living with it's just shitty. It's just shitty. There's no other way to say it. Or do you think it was better when people would shame each other and be like, bitch, what are you wearing, dude? I'm not going out with you. You're going to the movies. You look like you're going to stand on a street corner. You'd say stuff like that to your friends. And then your friends would be like, really? Is it like too much boobs? Yeah, girl. You can have like every guy on you. All right, I'm going to change. Or I'll throw a sweatshirt on. Or I'll bring a jacket. All right, cool. Because I'm not walking around with some hooker in the middle of the mall. Like, handle it. You would talk to your friends like that. We need to bring this back. And if you're younger, millennials, Gen Z, what's your experience been like without the shame filter? Let's like have a super honest conversation here. Comment in the comments, because what can we bring back? What do you guys think needs to return in society? I don't want to hear shit about people wearing t-shirts, be kind. Okay, no, this is not a time for kindness. All this be kind bullshit, it's emotional manipulation. You're mean. You're being mean to me. That's just you being a narcissist. That's you just trying to get over on people so that you could act a fool and not have any consequences. And Gen X is not having it anymore. We're over it. So that's my rant for today. I'm truly hopeful that, you're feeling my feeling in this. because it's enough is enough. I think you got the boomers over here, the millennials and Gen Z over here. They're at each other's throats, and Gen X are just sitting here calling bullshit on both of you. So I'm hopeful that this video laid out exactly what we're feeling. Cut the shit. You're better than that. Act like the type of person that would get the things that you want, right? Imagine if you want to achieve a certain thing and you want to have a certain thing, become the person who has that thing. Who you are now is not it. So you have an opportunity for growth, and I can help you with that. So feel free to connect with me. Check out the description below. Like and follow and subscribe. Hit the bell notification so when this party starts, you're invited. And we'll see you in the next one.